Bedtime Stories, January 8. The Bravery Medal. Two children, said Daddy, were skating on a pond. It was a blustery, snowy afternoon, and they were the only ones on the ice. A big dog was taking a good run on this cold winter's day when he spied the children on the pond. He went down to the pond and ran across it a little way, but the ice had a bad way of creaking, and he was sure it was not so very firm. He decided that he had better stay around to see that nothing happened to the children. He had been there but a moment or two when a terrific crack in the ice sounded. It gave way and the two children fell through. The sheet of ice broke rapidly, and the water was soon clear for some distance around them. Quickly, the dog went to the rescue of the children and swam to the shore with them. He saw some people drive by in a sleigh on the road above, and he barked so frantically that they stopped to see what the trouble was. Then, of course, they drove the two children to their home. The big dog went along too. The hero simply said, "Bow wow," when later they fastened a medal on his collar. He wanted to tell them that he thought they were being very good to him and he thanked them, but at the same time he was so modest that he didn't think he had been so brave. He felt any other dog would have done just the same, as he adored children. January 9. The Jackknife. This evening, said Daddy, I am going to tell you about the little boy who was given a jackknife as a birthday present. He did so many things with his knife that I think it might give you some ideas and suggestions of things you might make with the help of the knife. He set up a little carpentry shop in his room with a workstand. He made little bird houses, little squirrel houses, chairs, stands, boats, an express cart, and countless other things. In fact, he just made all the things that boys like. Before he had his jackknife, he was not at all interested in carpentry, but his knife helped so much. It was far more useful to him than his other tools. January 10. The Brave Little Sister. There was once a little boy who had a sister just about Evelyn's age, said Daddy. He was much disappointed that his sister didn't care more for long walks and boys' games, and that animals seemed to frighten her. He used to scold her about it instead of helping her to get over her fear. One day, these two children were taking a walk. They went into the country along a quiet road. They passed a little house in which lived an old woman who had a great many cats. She was very queer, and her cats seemed to be queer too. Anyway, it was said that they hated strangers. The little boy didn't believe this, and when his sister tried to hurry by, he laughed at her. "Oh, come and see this nice cat," he said, and he tried to pick the cat up. The cat objected to strangers, as all the people had said, and he started to scratch the little boy. With a cry, his sister rushed to him. She grabbed the back of the cat and got him off. Then she cried "shoo" to the cat, which made him go right home, for he didn't care about hurting the little boy. He only would not be played with. "I shall never make fun of you again, sister," he said. "You saved me by taking off that cat of which you were afraid. I have not been at all a nice brother to you, and I don't deserve such a good sister, for it was love for me that made you forget about your fear. But you may be quite sure I will never make fun of you in the future, for really, you are the brave one." January 11. Baby Bears. In the winter, at the start of the new year, said Daddy, when Mother Bear was sleeping and dozing and dreaming in her home back in the hole of a big rock, the little bears arrived. She taught them about the berries they must eat and about the things which would make them feel well and strong. She also told them of the bad things they must not touch, the things which would make their little tummies feel very miserable indeed, and which would make them quite sick. And when at last they went out of the cave and saw the real world, the trees, and the forest paths, they wanted to start off at once for adventures, for the world looked so mysterious and wondrous. "Do you want to leave your old mother?" the black bear asked. "We love you, Mother, but we want to see the world," they said. Bang! Suddenly went a gun, and Mother Bear received a slight wound. The baby bears were around her in a flash, But Mother Bear was safe, for the man with the gun had hurriedly gone when he had seen how near the old bear was, and he had seen her teeth and had almost been able to feel them, and the babies knew their teeth would never have done. They too had had a glimpse of their mother's anger and their mother's strength, and as they licked the wound, they said, "We won't leave you, Mother Bear. We don't know the world as yet." And Mother Black Bear groaned with the hurt from the slight wound in her shoulder, but still more she grunted with pleasure, for her babies had seen that they still needed their mother. January 12, the Snow House. At night, after the children had gone to bed, and it had grown colder and colder, Old Man Snow came around to see what the children had been doing, said Daddy. "Well, well, well," he said, as he saw a snow house and a snow fort and a snowman. "This is fine. They appreciate me. They know what handsome things I can make. This is really gorgeous. Look, Prince Icicle, isn't this fine?" Prince Icicle appeared with a number of the other princes and princesses who hung down from the roof of the snow house and the top of the snow fort, and from the shoulders of the snow man. Prince Icicle himself took a very fine place over the doorway of the snow house. "Isn't this handsome?" asked Old Man Snow. "Our fine king will be delighted, and his royal majesty will be honored." As Old Man Snow said these words, along came King Snow. He wore a most beautiful crown of snow, and he showed the Icicle family the compliment of wearing icicles from his beard and his crown and his locks of snow and from his hanging snowy sleeves. "They stopped me as I went by the brook," said King Snow, "and begged me to have some of their jeweled icicles. Don't they sparkle beautifully? Yes, they asked me to have them, and the brook, which was beginning to freeze around the edges, begged me to listen to its story. It had so much to tell of its travels, how it ran down a long and winding hill, and how it couldn't help trickling and laughing all the time with the jokes and merry tales it kept hearing." So Old Man Snow, King Snow, Prince Icicle, and the other princes and princesses talked all through the night and told wonderful stories as they sat in the children's snow house. January 13th, Peter Goblin's trip to think. And Peter Goblin looked as if he were going to cry. "To think," he repeated, "that children shouldn't like us. Why, children are the nicest creatures in all the world, and I love them, I do. That's why I am so unhappy when they talk about me." The Fairy Queen had been listening to this talk, and she felt sorry that so many untrue stories had gone around the children's world about Peter Goblin and the Goblin brothers. "I'll tell you what I do, Peter," she said. "Keep on trying to tell as many children as you can how much you like them. Tell them that in years gone by, people were far more nervous than they are now. They were afraid of the dark and things like that. Tell them that you never jump out at them in the dark, and that you only come to them when they are asleep. Explain as much and as often as you can that you never carry them far away from home, but that you simply sit on their bedposts and talk to them. I'll help you too, Peter." "Thank you," said Peter Goblin as he hopped and jumped away, for he felt far more cheerful now. He went to call on his friends, the children. He had a very hard time with one little girl. "Good evening," said Peter as he perched himself on the edge of the right bedpost of her bed. She drew the clothes over her head. "Oh, don't do that," screamed Peter. "It will make you have bad dreams, and maybe you'll smother." "Oh dear," thought Peter, "she will dream I'm horrid indeed if she does that." But after a moment she poked her head out again and looked at Peter. She couldn't help laughing at him, for he looked so funny and yet so sad. But still she was frightened until after she had looked again, for between looks she hid her face, when she saw two big tears rolling down Peter Goblin's funny little face. "What's the matter, little sir?" she asked. She wanted to be polite when he felt so badly, and yet he seemed so small and tiny to be called just sir. "I'm blue and sad," said Peter, "'cause children think I'm bad. They think I hide in the dark to catch them, and I love them and want to tell them stories. Not a single goblin has ever hurt a child. No, no, no. Why, we would disown a bad goblin, we would. And the little girl promised Peter she'd let all her friends know this. January 14th, the words. The words beautiful, gorgeous, glorious, and wonderful were talking. You see, said Beautiful, we've all been feeling rather sad that no one used us. We're always trying to live up to our names. We're always trying to be beautiful and gorgeous and glorious. We don't try to be mean or horrid or ugly. We haven't been jealous of you, Wonderful. Ah, said Wonderful, I understand. You've never gone back on your names. You've always meant the same things. You've been fine to keep your names and to be beautiful and gorgeous and glorious. But you needn't feel sad because you haven't been given much attention and because you haven't been used much lately. People have got into the habit of saying everything is wonderful. Really and truly, I've been worked to death. I don't like to be worked so hard. I really and truly don't. I get tired, and yet I have to be ready when they want me. I'm just jumping from one to another, and sometimes I'm half with one and half with another at the same time. But you keep on being beautiful and gorgeous and glorious. For you are three lovely words, and Wonderful couldn't get along without you. Ah, Wonderful, said Beautiful. You do cheer us up. Yes, you are wonderful. And they all laughed as they saw what a useful, fitting, wonderful word it really was.